2, and it's BBC Radio Northampton. Now, we've talked about the charity Daddies with Angels before. Its founder has been into our studio in the past, a father who lost a little child at a very early age. Surely one of the most heartrending stories, one of the most heartrending issues that any parent can have to deal with. Parents should never see their children die before them, I think, is the paraphrase of a fairly well-known phrase. Well, one man who's going to be putting best foot forward and in the near future joins me on the phone as our first guest this afternoon. Matthew McAdamany Greenwood is someone who used to live in Northampton, now in London, and who's going to be raising money for Daddies with Angels because of his own personal experience. Matthew, very good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Yeah, no, I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Tell me about the story of your firstborn daughter.
Right, well, I suppose it all kind of begins roughly 2 weeks kind of before I got married. Well, it's actually about a week before we got married. As you know, what your partners do, they turn around and sort of give you the information that you're about to be a father. Yeah, it's one of the best things that can kind of come at you, especially just before a wedding. As far as kind of everything medically kind of went through, we had a pretty much perfect kind of textbook, as most of our doctors and consultants kind of said at the time, sort of pregnancy. No problems at all, not even sort of morning sickness for my wife. And yeah, we kind of went on as most other couples do, attending antenatal classes and sort of various other things, you know, kind of telling everybody at work, all of our friends and family.
Of course.
And yeah, we actually had, it was just before sort of a 38-week sort of line. I mean, from sort of 37 weeks onwards is kind of classified a normal time to kind of sort of give birth. Mm-hmm. So our daughter would have been sort of ready to come, essentially. And it just happened, I had a day in the office, sort of throughout the sort of morning. I got a sort of text message from my wife being a little bit concerned. You know, she's not really felt much movement, or she doesn't feel quite right. So of course I kind of told her to ring the local sort of midwife unit just to sort of get their opinions, see what they say.
Sure.
And they kind of came back and said, right, well, it's probably quite normal to have slightly reduced movements because of course there's less space there, sort of in the womb for the baby to move around. Okay. And potentially the pains that my wife was kind of feeling were potentially the kind of the start of labour. So kind of to be ready, and if she got contractions sort of regularly, to then go in. As it happened, we kind of just thought, well, okay, that's sort of fair enough. Yeah, the midwives had told us that.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, everything was kind of fine, so we thought, right, well, we'll kind of play it by ear and see what happens. So naturally, after my day in the office, I went to go and do my kind of workout with a friend from work and personal trainer. And again, kind of just went through the day and eventually arrived home and kind of walked through the door, quite knackered and everything else. And my wife was kind of just kind of sat there in the chair, really not very happy at all. She was sort of quite upset, and she really hadn't felt anything at all since after her phone call. And of course, being sort of in my kind of workouts, I actually had no phone reception there, so I'd actually missed a text message from her, sort of saying that she really hadn't felt anything at all.
So, as far as you were concerned, then she'd been told to rest. The medical teams had said this is something that sometimes happens, and yet when you walked through the door, clearly there was a warning sign.
Yeah, there was definitely something not quite right at all. I of course, was sort of trying trying to be sort of consoling as consoling as I could be. I've had a feel, and personally, I could have sworn I sort of felt movement. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe it's just, it is what they say. This baby's probably moving slightly less than usual.
Sure.
But I basically said to my wife that, we'd sleep on it, and if she still didn't feel any better in the morning, that we would sort of go in and actually go in and see them in the midwife unit, in the maternity unit even.
Yes.
So of course we went to bed. Naturally, neither of us really slept sort of very much at all that night. So both kind of thinking the worst and hoping for the best.
I'm sure you would, yes. What did you do in the following morning?
Right, so we basically my wife was still feeling sort of, hadn't felt anything at all. So we literally got straight in the car, went straight down to the local midwife unit, and we went in. Initially, we saw sort of one of the kind of nurses that were in there, and she kind of had a feel, and again she sort of said that she could swear she felt movement, and she went just to be on the safe side. She went and got a portable ultrasound machine, just so that we could essentially hear the heartbeat, just to try and calm us all down. And because of course by that point, you're kind of already thinking the worst.
And in your case, you and your wife had been thinking the worst in a sleepless night.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, we'd both pretty much kind of deprived of sleep, and just really not in kind of the best situations anyway. There, and just hoping for basically to hear the heartbeat of our daughter, sort of going as strong as it always had done through all of our previous appointments.
What did you hear?
We actually heard nothing. The nurse that was actually sort of doing the scan kind of was prodding and poking in various different kind of points, and from the side and everywhere else. So increasingly getting sort of flustered. Eventually she kind of turned around and said, I'm just going to get sort of one of the more professional ultrasound sort of nurses to have a look. So of course we were then taken into another room.
In which case you were then examined, your wife was examined all over again, and...
Yeah, and ultimately we were then told by sort of the more senior sort of nurse that they actually couldn't find the heartbeat.
Which was your worst fears realised?
Yes, indeed. As you can imagine, I mean, both of us were pretty much from the very moment that they said no heartbeat, were pretty much in tears. I just really can't describe sort of exactly how that feels, but it is one of the worst kind of moments in a potential parent's life.
What do the professionals do at a moment like this, Matthew? Do they leave you to comfort your wife? Is there a support mechanism that comes into play for you? Are you just left to your own thoughts and your own emotions?
Right, I mean, we were basically initially left while they went to sort out basically delivering our daughter, because she still had to come out.
Of course, yes.
And sort of in that time, I kind of consulted sort of my wife and her, me as well. And sort of in that kind of moment, we kind of rang my wife's mother, who was kind of quite close by anyway, ready to come in at a moment's notice. And again, kind of had to tell all of her family.
At this point, of course, the process of getting the word out takes place, and of course that takes a period of time.
Yeah.
You as parents, though, you have to go home, you have to go back to the environment where you had thought that there would be a lovely bouncing baby.
Go home there. We actually went straight up to the delivery suite. We were, of course, my wife actually delivered our daughter, and during that time we actually had all of our family. I mean, my mother and sister actually came up as well.
Matthew, I'm sure it was the most tragic of circumstances which any parent, prospective or otherwise, could have had to have dealt with. There was the arrival of what